If you looked at the news all last year, he was already convicted. If you look at it, it was already done. It was no innocent until proven guilty. He was already guilty.
If they say, can you be fair? Don't say, no, I'm not finna put a black man in jail. Don't say that, okay? Because if that's what you're gonna say, you could have stayed home. You have to go and be like, no, I will hear the evidence. I can be fair.
Dishonest people to the core think that it makes sense as a grown woman to get on there and tell people to lie to the jury so you can get black people off of stuff. I want to tell you guys about the 250 merch. Make sure you go to tatumstore.com, tatumstore.com. I got a couple shirts I want to show you. Happy birthday to the United States of America, 250th birthday. This is our best seller right here, the one I got, which is pretty cool. 250, got the eagle on there, got the stamp. You cannot get this with this quality anywhere else. I'm just letting you know. Everybody that shop on our store, you know what it is. We got 30,000 reviews, 5-star reviews, and almost 200,000 customers. So it's a legitimate store. They got legitimate merch. Get you some of the merch today, tatumstore.com. The frustration that Mr. Metcalf feels, I'm going to give you an example of why he may feel this way. These are prominent people on podcasts that are specific and directed at the black community, either guest of a show or their own show. Now, if you cannot be frustrated or understand how stupid this sounds just watching this, then switch the people and look at it through that lens. Just imagine if white people were saying the same thing that these black folks saying, would you find this to be crazy? Roll the clip.
If they say, can you be fair? Don't say, no, I'm not finna put a black man in jail. Don't say that, okay? Because if that's what you're gonna say, you could have stayed home. You have to go and be like, no, I will hear the evidence. I can be fair. Don't say, I hate white people and I don't care what he did. Don't do that. That's what people were doing in this case. Okay, and then everybody's like in an uproar because there's no black people on the jury when damn near half of the black people who could have been on the jury canceled themselves out.
Yeah.
Don't do that, okay?
So pretty much what you're saying, half of the black people that could have been on the jury were racist. And they had no business being on the jury because they couldn't be impartial. And then this woman is saying, which is a crime, to encourage people to lie in the jury pool. Like, I just don't understand. I have never in my life seen a white people on a podcast saying, we need to get on these jurors, we need to get in this juror. And no, don't tell them that you can't be impartial. Don't tell them you really hate black people. I don't think it's right if white people were doing that. If you hate black people, you shouldn't be on a jury. You shouldn't be a juror. You're not impartial. You're an ignorant fool. And you're going to get on there and lie to get somebody in jail or get somebody off that's a criminal? Let them finish.
So don't do that. See, somebody in the comments talking about that's what got me put out. Don't do that. When you go up there, say, no, I have never heard about this case. I can be fair. Say that, okay? And then mean it. Believe it a little bit. Don't tell them you can't be impartial. You could have stayed home.
Because then you're going to be Issa Rae, they say. You're going to be, I'm rooting for everybody black.
Yeah.
I would have to remember that because I would be in there like, I would almost be too eager. Oh, God. I would probably be too eager just to go flip mode. Do you? Yep, I do believe whatever you do.
They're going to kick you out.
You just said, I don't know who that person was that said that the other day. What I believe today, this is a video of you saying, that wasn't me. I didn't say those things. I believe in the rule of law. I believe.
Ma'am, all we asked was what was your first name?
Law and Order. My first name is Law and Order.
Be like, get her out of here.
My first name is Sustained.
Y'all be regular.
Overruled.
Just be regular.
Oh God, I would be in there. They'd be like, just get her out of here because something might be wrong with her.
Y'all.
Something. Just get. No. My first name is Guilty.
Listen. Everybody else that be called, they be at the very least acting like they can be fair.
Yeah.
So don't go in there and act like all of a sudden you have to be the most honest person you've ever been. Listen, don't tell them I said that, but I'm just saying. People get on these juries and be
my sister's name is
racist.
I'm not a lawyer. So I think I am the lawyer.
No.
Between Law and Order and CSI, I grew up on those shows. And now my sister, let me tell you something. I could do your job, to be honest with you.
Well, don't go. Stay home. Please. You're ruining the point. Y'all are ruining the points.
All right, I'm done listening
people-
to these ignorant folk. Now, two things. This makes black people look bad. If you are not around black people I got more. Just hold on. If you're not around black people on a consistent basis and you're exposed to decent black folk, how does this not make black people in general? You flipping on the channel, you just going through and you're looking at black podcasts just to hear what black people are thinking about this, and you're seeing them sound stupid. Like, I would tell people, be an impartial person. Don't act like just be a good person. Don't get on a jury if you biased. There are certain things that I'll never be a juror because I was a former police officer, and they'll strike me right away because they consider that to be biased because I've been in law enforcement. But if I were to go on a jury thing and I'm like, look, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not finna mess nobody's life up because I'm selfish. Look, I can't do this, man. I'm biased against this, or I don't like this, or whatever the case may be. I'm gonna be very honest because this is somebody's life we talking about. But dishonest people to the core think that it makes sense as a grown woman to get on there and tell people to lie to the jury so you can get black people off of stuff until they kill your kid. And then now you gonna know what it feel like. Here's another one. This dumb, ignorant fool, listen to him.
But those of you who do get called to jury service, I think you should go. And you never know. You may be trying to help out a brother or sister. And when you go, when they ask you this question, hey, could you be fair? Don't say, no, I ain't being fair. Like, don't say no stupid crap like that. Please don't. Like, say yes, I can be fair. I can listen to the evidence. Because most of us can listen to evidence and be fair, okay? And let's get on these juries. Because if we can get on these juries, then if one black person get on a jury, it decreases our chances for conviction. Do you know that? It's all kind of studies about that. About the more black jurors on the jury, the more that we have a chance of being acquitted. Not because black people just want to let go criminality. No, all of us do not agree with criminality. If you're a black person in a black neighborhood committing crimes and being horrible, we want you out of there. We don't want you in the black community. Hell no.
Time out. I don't think these people are thinking when they talk. You are a horrible person if you think like this. We need to get on, like, you're a problem with America. We need to get on the jurors, so if you want to help a brother out or something. Normally, when more of us on the jury, we get convicted less. You know why we get convicted less? Because y'all on here lying. Y'all on here taking the side of black people. That's why they get convicted. Not because they somehow innocent, and then even saying that. Are you saying that white people cannot be impartial? You're doing two conflicting things. You're saying black people need to lie to get on the jury so we can help other black people, because white people are incapable of being normal people and being fair. So you're saying stupid stuff on you, making black people look bad, then you're being racist because you act like, because if you're not black, you can't be fair. What evidence do you have that white people wake up every day looking to put a young black man in prison? Where's the evidence of that? Let him finish and then we moving on.
But if we see a situation like Carmelo Anthony, right? And even I was talking to my cousin today, some of these white folks say, well, yeah, he said, touch me and see what happens. Well, you don't have a black person on the jury. They run with idiot thoughts like that, right? All Carmelo said is, if you physically touch me, I will defend myself if you do it. That's basically what he was saying. So watch and see what happens just mean I'm going to defend myself. If a black person was in that jury room and they were saying that, yeah, he said, touch me and watch what happens. I'm like, don't you got a right to, if you told me if you put your hands on me, I will defend myself. Would you be wrong for saying that to me? Basically warning me, do not put my hands on you? Every person would be right to warn a person, don't touch me. Don't physically accost me. Don't punch me. Don't do nothing to me. Leave me alone. And nobody talks about how Austin Metcalf went over there to Carmelo Anthony, had nothing to do with him.
Hey, you have every right to tell a person, don't touch me. You don't have a right to kill a person if they touch you. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand what math they doing. If I say, well, first of all, you're wrong because you're up under somebody else's tent. But just say you wanted to combat this because you're an idiot and you're a fool and you think you're entitled and you should be able to do whatever you want and nobody have to follow. You ain't got to follow no rules. Everybody else do except you because you just that person. If a person touch you to say, hey, man, you need to move, you don't get to stab them in the heart and kill them. You either move or you throw the hands. If Carmelo Anthony would have fought, he would have still been wrong, but you wouldn't get charged with murder. You would just get charged with assault because you had no business doing what you was doing. But in order to not do 30 plus years in prison, you don't take a knife to a person touching your shoulder or pushing you. Just get up out the tent. All right. I want to play a quick clip because I think a lot of people do not understand. No. We'll get to this clip here in a second. Before we get to the clip, and speaking of verdicts, I want to tell you real quick about the best bourbon on the market. If you're interested, you love bourbon, this is your choice. I'm telling you, look at the reviews. You don't have to look at me, verdictbourbon.com. Best bourbon. The guilty is smooth. It's traditional bourbon. And then you have the not guilty that has brown sugar in it. So it's sweet. You can drink it on the rocks. You can drink it in the old fashioned. Best bourbon on the market. Go look at the reviews if you don't believe me, verdictbourbon.com. All right, let's get to how the jury selection is done. Because I think even I learned something from Sean Kent in this video because I don't know exactly, because I wasn't on that side. I would have to do the research, but I wasn't on the side of doing jury selection, right? I mean, I would just have to testify of my involvement in the case. And when I was an expert witness, I would have to just testify of my expertise in the case. I don't have nothing to do with picking the jurors. So this is Sean Kent, who was the lawyer of Rick Chow. And this is what he had to say just to clarify jury selection, and then we're going to go on from there. Roll it.
I want to take a moment to correct some erroneous on all counts, some erroneous information about the selection of juries in the United States. One, people are incorrectly, this is legal pundits, this is social media, this is so forth, and I like people to understand and have knowledge, because the mind grows bigger, the mind grows flowers, much know, because knowledge is power. You are not entitled to a fair jury under the United States Constitution. People keep saying that. You're entitled to a fair jury. You are not. You're entitled to an impartial jury is what the Sixth Amendment to the United States Constitution. And so when we think about that, people say the following, well, you're entitled to a jury of your peers. Where this comes from is this comes from the Magna Carta, because what used to end up happening was they would bring in, colony and so forth, they'd bring in professional juries, professional jurists who were elitists who would look their nose down at everybody and stand in judgment. And finally, we said, nah, we're not going to do that. We want an impartial jury who is picked from a cross section of the community in which the crime actually occurred. And so when people are out there and saying that you deserve a jury of people who dress like me, walk, talk, and act like me, and just might be the next best thing, but not quite me, you know, those lyrics. That's not it. You're not entitled to a jury of people who look like you. You're entitled to a jury of the community. You're entitled to that, the community. And so people say, what does that mean and how do you challenge that? Hear me. The way you must challenge it, if you want to challenge it, you can't challenge the last 12 people who are in the box. The challenge must come earlier. What ends up happening is well before court happens, the clerk of the jurisdiction will send out notice to a cross section of the community. Let's say she gets 300 people in, and you as an attorney are looking at this and saying, wait a minute, the studies show that this community is 40% African American, 30% Hispanic, 20% white. Yeah, whatever that math is. And when I look at this panel, it's 90% white folks. And so what you have to do is at that point in time, you must make a challenge. You'll probably have to bring in experts. You'll have to bring in a lot and show this is not a fair cross section of the community. And if you allow this court to pick a jury from this people, you're going to end up with 12 blank, whatever the race may be. That's how you challenge. Challenging after you pick the 12, that's not the cause. That's not it. And one of the reasons why that doesn't help, as anybody's ever watched, is sadly, it almost doesn't matter how angry somebody could literally get on the jury with a swastika and a tattoo that says, I hate black folks on the front of their forehead. And the judge says the following: sir, do you believe that you can still be fair and impartial? Yeah, I can be impartial. They're on. And then that's why we have those what are called peremptory strikes, where the defense attorney can say, I just want to get rid of that person right there. Now, what the case law, Constitution, Batson versus Illinois, JB versus Kentucky, what they guarantee is not that you get a fair, but that you get an impartial. But it also stands to reason that a prosecutor cannot simply exclude somebody because of their race. Not the panel, the 12 people who are coming up to be chosen. You cannot just exclude people based upon race. What the case law says is you must have a race neutral reason for why you excluded that person, and you couldn't have put anyone else on who was similarly situated. What does that mean? Somebody comes up, African-American female, the prosecutor says, please excuse the jury. At the end of that selection, the defense attorney says, Your Honor, we have what's called a Batson challenge. We think all they excluded were black people. Judge, prosecutor, why did you excuse that African-American lady? Your Honor, we excluded every teacher from that jury because we didn't want any teachers. Judge, well, it looks like you excluded every teacher. That's it. If they have a race neutral reason, I didn't like his hat, so I excluded him. Make sure you have a facially valid race neutral reason, and then a lot of times the court will be like, good enough. So do I believe a challenge just based upon the fact that you do not have African Americans on your jury will work on an appellate court? No. And because the other thing you will have to do is you'll have to prove that the 12 people who were selected, who were on the jury, had racial animus. And and that's going to be hard to prove. And you're going to have to prove that they could not be fair and impartial and were not fair and impartial, because guess what? The judge asked them the question, can you be fair and impartial? They said yes. In the federal system, we've talked about this before, in the federal system, and one of the reasons the federal government gets so many more convictions than the state government is they pick their jury from voter registration because they know that's going to be a more conservative group of jurists. And so that's why I tell everybody, go vote so you can be registered to vote. In the state system, they pick you from your DMV driving record, and that way they can get more of a cross section. So sometimes in the jury system, once they have picked it in the federal system and we look down and we're like, this is not a fair cross section, we can go to the federal court and say, Judge, we are making a request that you pick this jury from the DMV records because we think that will give us a more fair cross-section of the community. So that's what people need to say. So do I think the challenge was laid down properly? No. If you look at the Alec Murdaugh case, people remember that case. You look at those lawyers, they're good lawyers, Maggie Fox, Dick Harpootlian, Jim Griffin. They looked at this case and they went back and interviewed the jurors, and they saw the level of bias that these jurors have. So that's how they were able to cross that Rubicon to say that this was not a impartial jury because they were tainted by old Becky Hill. So in the Carmelo Anthony trial and
let him finish.
Some of the other, just saying that you have 12 folks who do not dress like me, walk, talk, act like me, and just might be the next best thing, that's not enough. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that.
Perfect. So I was going to only play a little small portion of that, but it was very contextually reasonable to listen through and thoroughly hear what he had to say. He's one of my favorite defense attorneys now. I thought he did an incredible job, very smart, very funny. I love this guy. We may put his link in the description section. You go follow him because I think he's very informative. This leads me to the rest of this that I'm going to do, because from the things that I've researched, and Grant, correct me if I'm wrong, it appears that it wasn't an all-white jury. Now, the dad is going to say on this camera, in this interview with CBS, that it was an all-white jury. from things that I've seen from family members that were also in the court, they said that it wasn't all white. It was white, Asian, and a Middle Eastern woman. And so that's not all white. So why are they pushing a narrative that it's an all-white jury? And then the witnesses, a lot of them were black who testified to the fact that Karmelo was wrong. Grant, you got anything to add to that, or am I accurate?
You are accurate, yeah. Hold on a second. No black jurors. The defense. Give me a second here. I'm looking for a race breakdown. I think you had it pretty appropriate.
All right.
Yeah.
While he looked for that, let's go to this first clip of Dad and what he had to say. Roll it.
Take us inside that courtroom. What stuck out to you?
What stuck out to me, number one, was the all-white jury. But I was trying to be, like, all right, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, the truth is on our side.
Witnesses who took an oath vowing to tell the truth.
Everyone actually lied on the stand.
Everyone.
All of the witnesses' statements were inconsistent. All of them.
His father says the court of public opinion had made up their mind about his son long before the trial began.
He was convicted when he walked out of the jail. If you looked at the news all last year, he was already convicted. If you look at it, it was already done. It was no innocent until proven guilty. He was already guilty.
Now, is it possible? Yes. Is it plausible? No. That everybody lied? And so a judge is watching. The jurors don't have complete jurisdiction over these things. If the judge feels that the verdict is somehow incorrect, and I got to look into this because I'm not really sure. I want to say something I don't. But I believe that the judge, if he feel like that the verdict is incorrect or is somehow faulty, or that the jurors weren't consistent with the jury instructions and different things that he gave them to contest with, I think he can make a challenge to that. If the jurors get out there and they go, hey, we're going to give him 99 years, and a judge do not think that that was reasonable, I think a judge can then challenge that. Maybe I'm corrected if we got judges that are in the thing. We got a super chat. I'm going to get to your super chat here in a second. But if the judge believes that it's somehow something wrong with the jurors' sentencing, I think a judge can challenge that. I don't think that a judge is just helpless sitting in the courtroom doing nothing. I think the judge has a judgment to make, and if they feel like that the verdict was granted based upon the jury instructions in there and it was reasonable, I think a judge could go through it and say, that this is what the jurors found and there's nothing to it. I could be wrong about that, so we'll fact check that here in a second. But here's another clip of these foolish Neanderthals.